Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Planning Commission for the City of Hudson for Thursday, August 6th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is discussion and possible action on the June 4th, 2015 meeting minutes. Are there any changes or additions?
I will move to approve.
Is there a second? Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Who was the second?
Frank.
Frank, thank you.
Also, before we get started, I'd like to welcome Randy Morissette. It's his first meeting. He's taking Mary Yakub's spot.
Thank you.
Yep, so welcome. I thought we'd had a meeting, but apparently we hadn't, had we?
No.
Next item is discussion and possible action on final development plans, Grand Stay Hotel Suites and Access Road at 2101 Badger Drive, Hudson Center Development, Grand Stay Hotel and Suites, LLC. Mr. Darnell.
This is the final development plan review. There's been a few minor changes in the plan. I think Mike's got some boards to, Mike Kiefer, the project architect, Roger Humphrey, project engineer, is also here. My comments, I had commented that I had not received a clearance of the city engineer on the on-site improvements, but it's my understanding today that all the engineering off and on-site have been approved, but I just got to get it formalized by the city engineer. So it's just a matter of getting a verification. There is one change that was made in the plans was off-street parking. They are providing the full amount of off-street parking now. However, 39 of the stalls will be in a grass area, which will be accessible, but basically it'll be for the most part, valet parking or staff parking. And I guess it'll be an issue for the management of the hotel to manage that off-street parking, making sure that they can get in. It is an area that'll be plowable. It is a pervious surface, but when there's not parking there, it'll be green space. It will have storm drainage. So I guess turn the floor over to Mike and Roger at this time. And do you want to just give a brief explanation of the project, Mike? I'd appreciate it. Today, we're with the new tables. We have a new presentation area, so I guess we'll have to see how the TV picks it up. But so it's kind of an experiment in how we're having the project presented. So,
Thanks.
city staff recommends approval of the final development plans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll start by explaining a little bit about the building design, and any site-driven questions would be referred back to Roger. We're proposing a four-story, 70-room hotel with an event center along the north edge of the property that will house between 200 and 210 people for an event along this edge. We're proposing a generous amount of brick and hardy panel for the large windows in the space. We've got a two-story space coming in from the entry that continues through the breakfast area, which is unique to the brand. We've got about a 40-foot tall building with crown moldings on the top and a generous amount of intricate detailing along the edge. The total amount of suites that we've got are 10 suites within the hotel. The rest are regular hotel rooms. We've got a large lobby as well that ties into an indoor pool and a pre-function space for the event center. So with that said, I'm here for any questions that you guys might have.
Anyone have any questions?
On the building itself, right?
Sorry?
On the building itself?
Any questions?
Yeah, anything, Fred?
Can I ask one question? You know, down in your southeast corner, you've got a 120-degree turn there that looks very tight. Let's just presume, say there was some cars in there and the fire truck had to come whipping through there. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, we reviewed that with the fire department. Actually,
Okay.
what, I think Roger can explain, but there's a surmountable curb where it's something like a roundabout where the trucks can actually
Jump.
The wheels can go over that curb. That'd be on the northwest part of that, but that was looked at very carefully by city staff.
We added, along with the curb and gutter, we actually added a sidewalk section that they can drive over to make that radius turn.
You may answer my question, thanks.
Thank you.
You know, one of the changes that they did also make, Fred, I think, go back to the original meeting, you were a little bit concerned about the parking on the south side and it being close to the street. That has been removed, so there's
See that.
no parking. It'll be heading in to Crestview Drive. I think that helps clean up the site too.
And then since I'm on that subject, when you enter your property, it looks, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks restrictive where you've got those islands there, you know, both left and right. Am I wrong in seeing that, or is that just me, or, right where your road comes into the property and you could
main
either go
entrance.
left or right?
Main entrance area.
Yep.
Yeah,
main entrance
that
area.
is the main entrance, and we have a 24-foot wide, you call it a roadway or whatever, running north and south along the hotel, and then the roadway coming into the access road coming into the hotel that makes that T is, I believe, about 28 feet face-to-face curb.
So it's not a restrictive corner?
It's not a restricted corner, no.
Again, that's, you know, one of the things we asked for them to do was to put, typically, most engineers have a template where they can put a radius for a certain size truck on their plans, and that's one way we can check that, make sure that they can get but
One of our
fire accessibility
yeah.
was a very important issue on this.
One of our site plans had exactly that on there. It had all the radiuses coming in, and one of in the southwest corner of the site, we have a fire access. So there's a secondary access into the site. And so we looked at how a fire truck would basically be able to make the turning movements all the way around the building and out the other entrance.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
City staff recommends approval.
I'll move to approve with the stipulations that they comply with all of Danny's requirements, city requirements, whatever is left open, it has to be complied.
Yeah, I just need to confirm with the city engineer that his
We have no
comments
problems with
was,
their comments.
to me, that all the requested changes have been made, but the way he referred to it was, I wasn't 100% clear, and I wasn't able to clarify that with him today, but I'm quite sure that everything's fine as far as the engineering aspect.
Well, I want that contingent
Yeah,
that it
correct.
is a go, yes.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Looks very
Welcome to
nice.
Hudson, and it'll be go to the city council on the 17th.
Correct.
So, nice project, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go down to number 5. AK Shirley.
Number 5, we're going to skip over 4 right now. We'll go down to 5 at discussion possible action on concept development plans, 13,000 square foot industrial building at 221 Jackboro Drive, Lot 4, St. Croix Business Park East. Mr. Darnold.
The 13,000 square foot industrial building is proposed by AK Shirley Properties, particularly Ryan Shirley with, this is on the west side of Jackboro Drive in the St. Croix Business Park East. So essentially, if you came in off this old Highway 35 into the St. Croix Business Park East, you're driving on east-west on Jackboro Drive, and the south access would be just straight ahead of that. There's 2 accesses off of Jackboro Drive. The general concept's fine. You know, we just need, there are some questions more on specific detail of the plans as far as curb elevations and so forth that the city engineer wanted to have checked. But other than that, the concept plan is fine. So we're recommending approval of the concept plan. This project will be brought back on August 27th for final development plan review. But Roger, maybe if you want to go over the general.
I can just highlight a couple of the items. I need to take this, I suppose. The main entrance into the industrial park is right here. Just earlier this year, we did the Hudson Dog Care Centers over in this location. So the access is parallel in that, or a continuation there, but as Jack Droll Drive goes in, we have a dual access coming in and out. Main parking in front of the building with sidewalk, and then the building is here with the warehouse going in the back. We do have a loading dock off of this side, and so trucks can basically make this turning movement coming in and backing out and turning around. We did look at that location. I think one of Tom Cisco's comments to us was, while we show a couple optional ponds on that, we weren't able to verify with the DNR or with the city whether the entire industrial park was planned for to take on all the sewer and water. My belief is that it was, but we just showed these just because we can certainly take care of those requirements.
Roger,
And-
how big is the lot?
What's that?
How big is the lot?
About 2
Do you remember offhand? It's 2.25 acres.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we'll need a DNR permit.
Yeah, the issue is, I mean, St. Croix Business Park East was designed for the existing storm ponds. However, now DNR for sites over 1 acre may require infiltration beyond what we require.
Yep.
So they may have to accommodate that, which they have space to do that.
So, and we've looked at that closely. We run into that all the time, and my sense is we probably won't. We'll certainly use this one in the front because we do need that for the way the site drains, and we have a pipe going into the stormwater pond at that location.
Questions?
City staff recommends approval of concept development plans with the contingency that the city engineer comments are addressed in their final development plan review.
Is this to be a multi-tenant building for two, I mean, it looks like 2 office areas?
Correct.
And
That'd
what-
be, yeah, one, well, Ryan, do you want to address the occupancy?
I was wondering also why one loading dock on one side of it and not on the other side. I'm just curious, I
Think
There's
Brian.
a garage entry door here,
I saw that.
yeah, and another garage entry door, and then just the one loading dock.
Yeah, there are 2 tenants in the building. One would be for myself with the construction company on the smaller side, and we have a tenant for for what would be the north side with that larger office area.
Okay, any other questions?
The other tenant it's public information, I'm assuming, Builders Millwork is the other tenant. There exists in the St. Croix Business Park, but they're growing, they need additional space, so it's a positive aspect of it that, Ryan and his project's able to accommodate a growing business in the park, so.
Do we have a motion for approval? Anybody want? So moved. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mary Claire. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very nice.
All right.
You can go back to number 4.
Discussion, possible action on preliminary and final plat of Heritage of Hudson, 13 one-family lots, Heritage Greens Plan Residential Development, Creative Homes.
This is an amendment to the conditional use permit for Heritage Greens Plan Residential Development that the Plan Commission and Common Council reviewed in March. Creates 13 one-family lots and a outlot for existing holding pond. The only issue that we're currently having discussions and Todd Erickson, the project engineer, sent me some minor revisions today. They look fine. I just need to confirm with our city engineer and public works director that they're good. It's a little bit unusual in the fact that this area had on-street parking as part of the street right-of-way before. Because single-family residential doesn't need it, they'll be taking that out. What happens then is that creates a wider boulevard area. And part of that boulevard area be used to put the sanitary sewer in. So we're a little concerned about if you had a sidewalk and then right-of-way area and then the front lawns, that the people may not understand that the boulevard area is really not part of their residential area or residential lot, and would develop it similar to what they may front yard of a residence. So I'm asking that I be given some latitude to work with Creative Homes to maybe do a use restriction in there. They are moving the sidewalk back to the property line, which also created a more definitive edge on the front yards of the lots, and that'll help a lot. The other issue that the city had was when they were cutting the street to do water utility connections, they were doing small patches, and our Public Works Department was concerned that by doing these small patches, that when the road was redone, that you'd have kind of a wavy effect. So they've asked for it to be cut to full length and repaved, and that'll give a smoother finish to the street when it's compacted and refinished.
Danny, would there be a stipulation on the lot description of that potential easement issue? I mean, in other words, will the people know it when they buy it?
Well, it would be recorded, Fred, so it'd be, you know, I mean, they would have, and we'd work with Creative Homes to make sure that the owners are notified of it, but I don't think you say that you can't do anything. What we want to do is that they don't do something that's expensive for the homeowners to have to take out if the sewer line would have to be maintained for some reason. That's what we're trying to avoid.
No, I just don't, you don't want to hear, well, I didn't know that.
Well, that's, and, you know, it'd have to be a recorded document, and
Right.
I think we can get Creative Homes cooperation to, the seller marketing of the property that be disclosed.
Yes, sir.
So Denny, there's a greater space between the sidewalk and the
And
street
the curb
as normal?
and typical,
Okay, but the homeowner will still be responsible for
yeah,
maintaining
yeah, I mean,
that?
just like your lot, my lot, they're responsible.
Okay.
But they had the sidewalk moved out more, it's like edge of street, 8 feet sidewalk, then you had this 12-foot area before you got to the property line. Now what they're doing is moving the sidewalk back to the front property line, so you have about a 17, 18-foot green space. Typically, your boulevard areas from curb to sidewalk are, well, 13 to 15 feet, and then depending on where specifically the sidewalk. So this is a little bit wider, and with the sidewalk moved out, get more definition to where the right-of-way is too, so that'll help.
What do you do with planting trees then, or something like that in that area? I mean,
Who's gonna maintain that, the homeowner?
Homeowner, just like my boulevard in front of my house, your boulevard and your house, you maintain it.
Which is 17 feet versus
You know, just have to,
5.
Or, yeah, 5 or 6,
Yeah.
in a lot of cases.
what about trees though, Denny? What happens if trees are planted and then somebody has to go and dig all that up and cut all that down and do all that?
Belong to the city, I think.
well, any trees planted in the right of way, that could be something that we take a look at as far as where the Public Works Department's always had a concern about planting trees and boulevards, because not only do you have your public utilities in there, but you may have private utilities, you may have natural gas, so there's, you want to see trees planted, but again, you don't want to create the conflicts with the utilities, whether the public utilities or private utilities, so that's something we'll have to work on also.
Jim, anything you'd like to add?
Well, there's a 25-foot setback of the houses, too.
Yeah.
So there is room behind there, the right away to be able to plant trees, and I think they'll probably be doing that once the homeowners move in. A lot of nice landscaped yard, so I think that would be part of that.
Okay.
You have any comments?
No, I think,
Todd?
that last plan, I think, makes some sense. There's some transition areas there where we can't quite meet that, and I think it makes some sense through those areas where those lots are a little bit narrower, and it works out good. So you guys can accept that.
So we're recommending approval of just working this detail out on the boulevard area, on the sewer easement to boulevard area.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second,
Any other discussion?
with the stipulations of Denny, of course.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And that would be reviewed on Common Council on August 17th.
Any other business for informational purposes or anything for the upcoming agenda?
In my comments, Fred and I talked about payment in lieu of parking and parking in downtown. And I'd like to be able to put that issue on. And really what it is that if you can have a restaurant in a building under 6,000 square feet, and they're not required to have off-street parking. You can also have an office building that requires a lot less. And Fred said, well, how can we address that? And I basically said, well, basically what we'd want to probably do is set the threshold based on the number of parking stalls it'd be for retail and/or office, which is generally 1 per 200 square feet. And anything above that, that has a more intense use, would have to provide the parking. So it gives the smaller businesses off, but it gives the ones that are really creating the demand for off-street parking to have to come to the plate with your payment in lieu of parking or, so we'd like to bring that back for the
Yeah,
next
no,
meeting for
what
discussion.
triggered that was, say a restaurant has a capacity 6,000 square feet or less of 200 people. We had one come before us here recently that had just that, and so 6,000 means you have 30 required, 30 spaces that, are forgiven, if you will, but if you have capacity in that building of 200 people, let's say 2.5 people a car, that's 80 to 90 parking spots, not 30. So the high-capacity buildings, it's not fair to, as Denny said, the guys that aren't consuming that amount, and I guess that's what I thought we should
Talk about it.
take a look at.
Good. All right.
I have an item.
Yes?
Just on the plans that we approved for the Smiling Moose, my impression is that the deck is looking different than what the original plans were, and I don't know if they were changed throughout that process, but a concern that I have is that all the speakers that now have been placed, and I don't know if those were in the original plans, but if you walk by the Smiling Moose on a weekend night, the noise is absolutely incredible with their windows open, and my concern is, what's the plan going to be once they have those speakers on? What's the noise level going to be, and how is that being monitored? And secondly, I have to say I'm kind of surprised they've never had a construction fence up during this entire process, which was a safety concern, as a lot of people walk by there, and my understanding is that you have to have a construction fence around a construction project, but I didn't see one. But were all those speakers approved in the original plans, and what is the plan to address the noise level?
Well, we've never approved speakers on open patios outside, and basically it'll be a noise level. If they reach a certain noise level, we get complaints, so the fire or police department's gonna have to address it, so.
I mean, I don't know if any of you have walked by on a weekend night and heard you can't have a conversation whatsoever near the property. So I think from the neighborhood and those that are the other surrounding businesses, I think we're doing a disservice to them.
Well, and then I want to bring up the enforcement issue, which I think is huge here, is that, hey, we have bands in the band shell that, I can hear up at my house 5 blocks away, and we love that. Then you have a bar.
We're a little bit off, I don't think this is on the agenda, but we can put it on the agenda to talk about
You can't
it.
discuss it, you can
Yep.
get
It's
it
an
far
enforcement
enough to
issue.
where it needs
It's
to
an
be.
enforcement issue,
yeah.
yes.
But, that, it goes for everyone then.
Yes.
So do we want to stop the concerts in the park because the noise is too
That's
loud?
why I brought it up.
Okay. We will bring that up and put it on the agenda. Okay? Anything else? Anything else you'd like to see on the agenda?
Yes, one last thing up, and maybe this is out of our jurisdiction, but where Hanley comes into the 11th Street Bridge, the crossing by your restaurant, I've noticed during the day the stacking up there, that's getting to be a real mess, getting through there, the amount of traffic, and I think it's gonna keep increasing. And what's the plan?
Well, we've
Maybe
talked-
I'm,
I've
maybe
had
I'm in left field.
yeah, I've had conversations with Wisconsin Department. The only way you can fix that is to increase the deck size, and then have a dedicated right turn, dedicated straight ahead, and dedicated left turn with signals that's gonna control it. We've talked to DOT about that, but it's their bridge until they have money and can get it on a set of plans, unless the city wants to pay for it.
That answers that.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.